Hi everyone, I'm Zubair Mir and you're watching Contemporary Politics. I'm back with one more video. Today I'll be talking about the meaning and definitions of Constitution and the framing of the Constitution by the Constituent Assembly of India. But before I start the video, I would request you to subscribe to my channel and press the bell icon so that you may receive the notifications of the new videos that I will be uploading from time to time. And don't forget to hit the like icon and share the video as much as you can. Thank you. Let's start the video. So my dear students, today we shall talk about the Constitution of India. So, Constitution of India. Before I tell you about the concept of the Constitution of India, or how the Constitution of India was framed and who framed the Indian Constitution, it is very important for us to understand the meaning, the definitions of the Constitution itself first. So once you understand the concept and meaning of the Constitution, besides we shall talk about the Indian Constitution, everything and every concept will be clear. So first of all, we need to understand what a constitution is, how it works, and why do we need to follow a constitution at all in our country. This is very important to understand. For example, I may present an example in front of you. See, if all the people in our country abide by the rules and regulations of the constitution and the rules and regulations of the land, then only there will be a proper balance. There will be a proper, you can say, atmosphere to live in, and all the people will be able to enjoy their fundamental rights properly. So we need to understand the concept of constitution, then only we shall talk about the Constitution of India and the Constituent Assembly, because Constituent Assembly is the organ that actually has framed the Indian Constitution long back in 46 till 1950. So first of all, let's talk about the meaning of the Constitution. Meaning of the Constitution. This is the concept that we shall talk about first. Then we will cover the other aspects and other topics under this banner, that is Constitution of India. So Constitution is the system of beliefs, and laws by which a country organization is governed. See, let me give you an example to make you understand the meaning of Constitution. For example, I am working as an employee in Green Valley Educational Institute. So it is very important for me to abide by the rules and regulations and code of conduct of this school. If I will not follow the rules and regulations and the code of conduct that is applicable to me, then I am punishable as per the law. I'll be punished by the school authorities, especially by the management of the school. So that's why I said that the concept of Constitution talks about the system of beliefs, the things that we believe in, the things that we follow, and laws that are there in this kind of book, that is there in this kind of, you can say, document, by which we try to govern the people of a country. See, I talked about the country, I wrote about the country, but country is actually an abstract idea. It's an abstract concept. So country is there only when the people of this very area, this particular territory are there. So it is the people of the country who are being governed by what is called as the Constitution. Besides, I was talking about an organization. So it is the system of beliefs and laws by which A country, I mean to say the people of a country. An organization, that means the people working in an organization are being governed by what is called as the constitution. For example, I as an employee joined this institution in 2016. I was given a chance to be a part and parcel of Green Valley Educational Institute. But first of all, I was interviewed, then I had to appear in my demonstrations, and ultimately I was called by the HR department for after some time, and I had to sign a contract. I had to sign the code of conduct. So that's what I am talking about. The code of conduct is the constitution of my institution, of this organization I'm talking about. So constitution is a very vast subject and concept that we need to understand. So if you are talking about your country, your society, your family, or any organization, all the organizations, institutions, or you can say the parts of the society, they have certain rules and regulations and guiding principles that they need to follow every now and then. If the people in the country follow the rules and regulations properly, remember that there will be a proper atmosphere to live in. Besides, all the people will be able to enjoy their fundamental rights. I mean to say that if there is a proper constitution, the rules are being followed, there will be no chaos and confusion, and there will be a proper rule of law. Rule of law means rule by the constitution. So this is the meaning of the constitution. Now let's talk about some of the definitions of the constitution. First, the constitution is a body of rules and laws according to which a state is governed. A state is governed. Again, this definition tried to make us understand the concept of constitution. It says that constitution is a body, I mean to say a rule book or a document that every now and then talks about the rules, the laws that are there, that have been set by the people of the country for themselves, because they wanted themselves to be ruled by a constitution, because they wanted to have a proper balance in their country, because they wanted to be a part and parcel of a proper society and a proper state, a legitimate authority. So that's why rules were kept in this body, and it is these rules and laws according to which, or according to these rules, the people of the state are being governed. Let me give you an example. For example, we as a part of our country, we as a part of the Indian Union are being governed by the central government, and they try to implement the rules and regulations of the Indian Constitution. So if anyone in our country, in our society, fails to follow the rules and regulations, or fails to actually work as per the rules and regulations of the Indian Constitution, that time that person is liable to punishment. He will surely be punished by the court of law, by the security agencies of our country. So we need to understand that Constitution is only there because we wanted it to be there, and we wanted the government of the country to rule over us, but only through rule of law, that is through constitution of the country. So this is one of the definitions that I was talking about. Now let's talk about the second definition. It defines and determines the rules to create an orderly society. The rules to create an orderly society. See, again, the concept of constitution and this definition tries to make us understand that why a constitution is important. The constitution is important because we need to have a proper, you can say, balance in the society. We need to have a proper balance among the or between the organs of the government like legislature, executive and judiciary. Besides that, we need to have a proper, you can say, balance at the among the levels of the government. For example, central government, state government and local self-government. So that's why this definition talks about that it defines and determines, the constitution I mean to say, defines and determines the rules to create an orderly society. It tries to make the people understand because it is defining the rules. So it is the constitution that tries to make the people understand what are the rules that you have to follow. What are the laws that you need to, abide by every time? What are the things that are mentioned in the constitution that are obligatory on you, that you need to take care of every now and then? So that's why to make an orderly society or to create an orderly society, it is very important to have a constitution. So constitution is nothing but a rule book that all the people in the country need to follow, that all the people in the country need to abide by. If the people of the country are not abiding by the rules and regulations, then what will happen? There will be a total chaos in the country. There will be no order at all, and people won't be able to enjoy their fundamental rights. If you want the people of the country and yourselves to enjoy your fundamental rights, then it is very important to understand the concept of constitution, and you need to follow the constitution at every point of time. Then only the fundamental rights and all the other things will be given to the citizens of our country. Now let's talk about the next definition, which is it decides the limitations of their power. It decides the limitation of the powers of government and their organs and its organs. And its organs. See, it is the constitution of the country that defines the powers and procedures that the government of the country can take into consideration, that they have to follow, that the government has to follow. Besides, it tries to limitize the powers of the government, and at the same time it tries to limitize the powers of the organs of the government. So we have three organs of the government. First is legislature, second one is executive, and the third one is judiciary. For example, if we have to make some laws for our country and for the people of our country, and we want to give something good and better to the people of our country, then what must be done? That time we need the help of the legislature, because it is the legislature of the country that actually makes the laws for the people of the country. So then, after the bill is being passed or has been passed by the Parliament of India, it will be signed by the President of the country. Once the bill is signed, it becomes a law and it becomes a part and parcel of the Constitution. So that time it is the duty of the people of the country to abide by the rules. So first of all, I said that it is the duty of the legislature to pass the law. So the power that the legislative organ of the country is to make the laws, to form the laws, to make them a part and parcel of our constitution. Again, then it is the duty and responsibility of the executive to implement the same laws that have been passed by the legislative organ of our country. I mean to say Parliament of India, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Then ultimately, it is the duty and responsibility of the judicial section of our country to implement those provisions of the constitution in our country that are just, that are not actually, disrespecting the fundamental rights of our people. See, Article 13 of the Indian Constitution, Chapter 3, Fundamental Rights, talks about one of the important rights that our judicial section has. See, I am just trying to make you understand the balance and the limitations of the power of the organs of the government. See, this is one of the important, organs. I'm talking about the judicial section. The Supreme Court of India, state high courts, lower courts, subordinate courts, district courts, and all the other courts that we have. So I was talking about Article 13 to make you understand the concept of limitation of powers of government and its organs. See, I said that Article 13 of the Indian Constitution defines that if an existing, if a new law that has been recently passed by the government of India, if it, tries to disrespect the existing laws that are already there in the Indian Constitution, the provisions, the acts, the rules of the Indian Constitution, and if it derogates or disrespects the fundamental rights of the Indian citizens, what will be done, what must be done by the Supreme Court of India, that they have the power to declare that law as null and void. And they will not give the permission to the legislative organ and the executive organ of our country to implement the same law in our country, because this law has a flaw. So I said that the legislative organ of the country forms or makes the laws, passes the bills, then it is the executive which implements the laws, then ultimately it is the judiciary of our country which takes a proper, you can say, note of everything, which sees that are the people of our country being governed by the rule of law or not. And if this law that has been passed recently by the legislative organ of the country, Parliament of India, if it is disrespecting the fundamental rights or any existing law of the constitution of the country, that time they have the responsibility, they have the power to declare that null and void. So null and void. So this is what are the limitations. Besides, fundamental rights are there which try to give a proper power to the people of the country so that they can keep the government on check every time. So I was talking about the concept of constitution. Now you do understand what constitution is all about. So this is the meaning of the constitution. Then we discussed 3 definitions of constitution to make you understand the concept of constitution, that what constitution is all about. So my dear students, I told you that I'm going to tell you something about the Indian Constitution, a little bit about the Indian Constitution, how the Indian Constitution was formed or it was made. The Indian Constitution has not come into being, suddenly. The people of the country, they had to fight for their rights for more than 200 years, especially the leaders of Indian National Congress, the leaders of Muslim League. They worked every now and then to fight for the rights of their people. And ultimately, you see, the results are there, because the independence and the rights were given to the people of India in 1947, 15th August 1947. But before that, a number of things were taken into consideration by the leaders of Indian National Congress and Muslim League so that their rights may not be, taken away by the Parliament of Britain. See, in the first instance, long back in 1928, I would like to write that down. 1928, it was Motilal Nehru. Remember, Motilal Nehru and 8 other Indian National Congress members framed a constitution for India. See the date, 1928. I said that it was Motilal Nehru and 8 other Indian National Congress members who framed a constitution for India. Actually, this constitution was not a formal constitution that was adopted by the people of India or that was sanctioned by the Parliament of India, but it was a mock. It was an idea that was presented by Motilal Nehru and 8 other members in front of the Indian National Congress and all the other members and respected dignitaries of our country. So that's how they got the concept of having a separate constitution for themselves and for the people of our country. Then the session of Indian National Congress that was held in 1931, which is called as Karachi session. In this session, Indian National Congress, especially the President of Indian National Congress, namely Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, he decided to give a mock to the people of the country and decided that how the Constitution of India is going to look like if we will be given a chance to have a separate constitution of our own, to have our own rules and regulations. They decided to frame a constitution, and this is the concept how the Constitution of India will look like. So the example was taken from Motilal Nehru in 1931. But still, I'm talking about the same concept. See, I said that even though that the constitution was framed by Motilal Nehru and 8 other Indian National Congress members, but it was not a formal constitution for the people of the country, but it was a mock. And ultimately it was Indian National Congress which decided that this is how the Constitution of India will look like in future. Then how was the Indian Constitution framed, and who framed the Indian Constitution? See, I said that it was the Constituent Assembly which framed the Indian Constitution. Now we need to understand who gave the concept of Constituent Assembly to the people of India, to the people of our country. See, it was in 1931, the same year, M.N. Roy, Manabinder Nath Roy, a pioneer of communist movement in India, for the first time gave the concept of a Constituent Assembly. Constituent Assembly. So he was the first person to make the people understand about the Constituent Assembly, and he actually made the people of Indian National Congress, especially the leaders of Indian National Congress and Muslim League, understand that what a Constituent Assembly can do. So he actually presented the idea in front of the people of the country. Then ultimately it was in 1935 Indian National Congress formally, because this was not a formal, you can say, plea or application that was presented by M.N. Roy in front of the British Parliament, but he just gave the idea. Then it was the duty of the Indian National Congress and Muslim League leaders to present the same idea in front of the British Parliament, so the demand that they are actually making be given to them, because only one member cannot make the demand. Then the entire organization or the entire nation, they need to demand these things from the Parliament of Britain, because that time India was a colony of Britain. It was called as British India. So Indian National Congress formally demanded a separate Constituent Assembly for India, which will frame the Indian Constitution. But without the interference of outside powers. It was decided that once the concept or the demand of Constituent Assembly will be accepted by the British Parliament, then Britishers will have no chance and choice and right to interfere in the working of the Constituent Assembly. So wholly and solely Constituent Assembly will be responsible for framing and making the Indian Constitution. So now they are ready to frame a constitution for themselves. Now you know what does a constitution do and why we need a constitution for ourselves or in our country. So Constituent Assembly was demanded for the first time by Indian National Congress from the British Parliament in 1935. Before that, the concept was given by Manabindra Nath Roy in 1931, and ultimately it was in 1938 when Jawaharlal Nehru on behalf of Indian National Congress demanded a separate Constituent Assembly for India and said that the same will be elected through Universal Adult Franchise, UAF. That means all the people in the country will be given a right to vote and to choose the members of the Constituent Assembly. Again, I would like to write down the other point here. See, he said that the people of India will have a choice to elect the members of the Constituent Assembly. Now, the formal letter and application has been made by Indian National Congress in 1935, but on behalf of Indian National Congress, being the president of the Indian National Congress, it was Jawaharlal Nehru who demanded a separate Constituent Assembly for India, which in turn will frame the Indian Constitution, and he actually said that the Constituent Assembly will be elected by the people of India with the help of Universal Adult Franchise. Remember that he said that there shall be no outside interference, and people of our country shall have the right to elect the members of the Constituent Assembly, and it will be this organ, this body that will frame the Constitution of Free India. So this is how the demand was made, and the memorandum was presented by Indian National Congress and all the other leaders and political interest groups and pressure groups and political parties of our country that time, and the application was sent to the British Parliament. Now they waited for the sanction of the British Parliament, and the day came when the sanction was given, when the demand of this Indian National Congress, Muslim League and all the citizens of our country was accepted by the British Parliament, and it was accepted in August 1940. So that's why this is called as August Offer. That is what is called as August Offer. I said that the demand was made by the Indian National Congress and all the other political parties, pressure groups and interest groups on behalf of the people of the country, and then ultimately the demand was accepted by the British Parliament in August 1940, which ultimately was called as the August Offer. So this is how the concept of Constituent Assembly came into being. This is how the demand was made by the people of our country, especially the leaders of our country, and then how ultimately the offer was accepted by the British Parliament. That was all from my side. Let's talk about the next topic in the coming lecture. Till then, fi amanillah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.